Hello. Today is June 25, 25th, 2024. This is SIG Node weekly meeting. Welcome, everybody. A couple items on agenda, and first from Philip. Take it away.
Yeah, so there has been discussions regarding like general node lifecycle in a mailing list. So it basically spun off from the discussions about node maintenance, which originally set off only to solve like a better drain controller for the workloads. And it was discovered that it might be better if we basically include it in the whole node, like first to analyze it in the whole node lifecycle, and like that today, mainly like the node object and the lifecycle of the node is not well defined, and there are a lot of moving parts. So a couple of people are like we have come to a conclusion that it might be best if we created a working group, so we could gather all the use cases and actors in one meeting. Basically, there have been a lot of discussions, not in the mail, not even in the mailing list, but in other side channels, like also here and in Slack, in various issues in upstream. So, and I like it would probably suit the best if SIG Node would cover the working group. So I would like to ask your opinion on that.
So I personally feel the node maintenance, declarative maintenance API is needed. It's more forward-looking for the multiple host inference, multiple host training. This is more from we want to expand the Kubernetes to support the more workload, better especially on the AI machine learning workload perspective. But the original of the node maintenance CRD and API proposal is from the SIG app. More is from the totally different use cases, which I even disagree for the for treat some daemon side workload special and others. So if we are more from the declarative that for those like the special from the node, like life cycle and a group of node life cycle together, instead of single node life cycle, we want to expand it to the group of life cycle. I totally okay. But if we go beyond that, I'm not sure that's node team want to driving. And yeah, so but it could be like the community, right? Kubernetes community want to understand all those kind of things and want to drive. And node, of course, node SIG Node have to be participate. That's okay. But if we want to find that the one I was thinking about the group of those is like the really align with the DRA. It's just just busy having to think about that one. So I think about we need to start thinking about those kind of things up front. I also like the Manu correct me. Also, I know that in the some on-prem cases, it's not cloud provider use cases. There also have some leads about those kind of things. So that's my whole try to make that more clear boundary is like the things we want to turn around our scaling target from a single node to a group of the device, a group of the node and plus GPU, TPU, all the things. So I think we need to consider this. Hope I make that more clear.
Yeah, I think based on the conversations on the forums, right? think this may become wider, and I think we can participate, but I think we still need to figure out what we are going to do to address the immediate issues we have, like solving the graceful node shutdown and so on. So I'm plus one to creating the group and participating and seeing what are the list of problems that our group will address, and we can represent what we want to see solved first. So I think one thing that was raised by Tim was that, okay, the node object it's never declaratively created. It's kind of just attached to whatever VM or instance comes up, right? So I'm not sure even that will be included in the scope of the new work group. That sounds like a huge project, right? While more short-term tactical things will be, oh, how can we make graceful node shutdown better? Or how can we make a daemon set controller not act weird when we do this?
This is exactly my concern. I worry about make that scope huge, but not didn't solve this problem. And so yeah, John is here. Go ahead, John.
Oh yeah, no, I think I'm going to concur. I mean, I think that keeping a logical separation between the VM and actuation of a VM, creation of a VM, and all the complexity that goes with that, and a node, which is a logical thing, like makes perfect sense. But I think we do need a logical life cycle for the node. It's completely independent of the VM or whatever that's underlying it, so that we can have our upper layer controllers, like you were saying earlier, Don. Like if we've got some workload that's on 50 hosts, we can't 50 nodes. We can't just pull one out of the system, right? Like we break a whole bunch of things. So I think trying to figure out those things without taking on the scope of infrastructure, IaaS. We don't want to take on the IaaS scope. We want to focus on logical nodes and what that means to our workloads. I think it makes total sense.
Yeah, so I think like if I can backtrack to the node maintenance or the better drain. So the drain is to orchestrate like the gradual drain of all the applications from the node, and basically it connects to this. It's not just the daemon sets; it's various kinds of applications that have various scenarios. And basically, like how it ties to the node lifecycle, like what should trigger the drain. Like there are many scenarios which can come from the infrastructure provider, or like the graceful node shutdown, or even like it can be triggered manually by anyone. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like having a clearly defined status and life cycle of a node will be useful, right? Like how do we know whether it's just it's a reboot, restart, or it's going away forever? So I think that will be a useful output from this work group to define its created state, it's in maintenance state, or it's just going for a reboot, or it's a spot instance, so it's just gonna go away. There's gonna be no restart for that node. So I think clarifying all those scenarios will be useful, and then we can bring in top, I guess.
Yeah, and it would be good to like have a clear understanding, like in which of these states the drain happens and what is the state of the drain, and so it's observable like from every user. But yeah, it's like the goal of the working group should be like to explore all the use cases we would like to see solved, or and to see what is feasible, like to support even like by Kubernetes.
So I think the main comment here is that we definitely need to start with scenarios, and SIG Node is, I mean, we're happy to take requirements, but scenarios needs probably be driven by SIG apps, and SIG apps can like prioritize the scenarios, and then we can discuss like what specific implementation we need. If we start with SIG Node, we can discuss implementation, but then we don't know whether it satisfies the requirements. And like looking back at the specific cap, like I still have a lot of reservations. Like, will this specific scenario, like will specific design replace like cluster autoscaler drain, or like will replace graceful termination? How are they different? How they will be all covered together? There's just too many differences in those scenarios.
Yeah, I agree. Like we need to define it well, and like there are a lot of moving parts. So I've like to also discuss this with other SIGs who would be interested in this, if they would like to participate. So yeah, if we have a consensus, then I could probably like draft the charter for the working group. If that's okay with you.
I
Yeah.
think we will participate for sure. But somebody need to sponsor from SIGAPS probably.
Yeah, I will bring it also to SIGAPS. So yeah, so I guess it will take me a bit of time to set this up. Like and probably it's yeah, even after the code freeze. So yeah, at least we have a direction where to go. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, from paperwork perspective, it's quite a heavy lifting to create a working group. So it may be easier to start with a few meetings and see the level of interest. But you can decide whichever way you want to go.
Okay, yeah, I will first have to gather more feedback and see. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, next topic is from Pranav.
Yes, hi Sergey. So, like I've discussed, we have already discussed couple of times regarding the issue I've just pasted in the chat. So, previously we were trying to find if there are any thread leakages within the kubelet. So I was thinking like if we could filter out if it is the problem within a kubelet or Golang. So if we can filter out that this is the problem within the Golang, so this will be a lot helpful. Like for further, like I have tried a lot of things to collect the data regarding kubelet, but I haven't found anything. Like there are not any anomalies within the heap of data of go routine or heap memory or the CPU data. So I have tried with a Golang program and I have run it and I found the same problem, the not freeing out the idle threads. So I've dug into it and found couple of Golang issues that show the same problem. So like the main point is, can we confirm if this is the issue? If there is an issue present in the Golang that behaves like that does not let the idle threads of a program free until we terminate the whole program. So I just wanted to know if there is a way that we could confirm this.
I think if we don't have a leak, we should, I mean, looking at the upstream issue, that appears to be the case, right? The Go issue. So the question is this something that's likely to be changed? Like, is there going to be a tunable that is being discussed that, oh, okay, if threads are idle for so many hours, then just return them back? We need to change that, or maybe we need to open an issue saying that this is what we observe, and is Golang upstream open to such a tunable, right?
Yeah, this is the second question. First, I was trying to say like if there is a way that I could find that we could confirm that there is an issue present in the Golang because only through the observations and different testings we are speculating. Other people's also in the issues and the different issues are speculating only that this might be the problem within the Golang. I was just trying to ask, like, is there a way, solid way, through we can confirm that there is an issue in the with Golang? So if we can confirm this, then we can move further, like with more solid background.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we can take a look at the code, but I think it'll be good if someone from the Golang maintenance team is able to acknowledge this, right? So maybe you can just prod them that this is what we are observing. Is this in line with how Go is expected to work? I'm not sure, Pranav. Like,
Okay,
what
okay. So
exactly
like
are the steps for us here besides what we have done?
okay, okay. So, from the observations in the issue, Sergey also remarked that this is more likely to the issue within the Golang and not within the
Yeah,
kubelet. So,
right.
from our part, we can only confirm if there is an issue within the kubelet. Am I right? We can only confirm if there is a thread leak within the kubelet. And
Yeah, we can just report the observed behavior, and then we can say, is this in line with how the Golang runtime works?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving to your question, is there a way to tune the kubelet to limiting the threads or?
Yeah, there'll be a question for upstream Golang, right? Is that something they are considering adding, or if not, what are their suggestions for tuning otherwise?
Okay, okay, thanks a lot. That's all from me.
Pranav, I mean, you're spending all this time on that. Like, man, it's the first time I hear anybody complaining about leaked, stuck threads. Is there a specific reason you investigating that? Is your kubelet so small that like machine is so small that kubelet with extra few threads creating a big difference?
Yeah, I'm only reproducing this issue because I was working with the team and they came through an issue. There were many 400, 500 threads that were being occupied and held idle after the workload has been finished. And after a day or two, uh, they were not being released, and they reported that their memory was also not being released. So it held a lot of memory and CPU resources. So I just wanted to check if this is an issue within the Kubernetes. So because if there are a lot of CPU resources and memory resources are being held idle, uh, every time if the kubelet is being used and not being restarted, then the threads and memory are held within the kubelet. So this is the case. So I thought that this is worrying for our team because the resources are being held. So what is your take? I would really like to hear, Sagri.
Yeah, I'm just curious how much memory we're talking about, and I wonder if threads that got stuck consume any CPU resources. They probably just hang around.
And I think it also has to create threads when it's waiting on system calls, if I remember correctly, for IO and stuff. So I think this is the typical GC language behavior, as long as it's not growing unbound and like taking up the whole system or crashing with out of memory because there's a memory leak. This is expected behavior, I think, is the answer you're going to get from upstream. And on the memory side, there'll be some tunables. On the thread side, I don't think we have a lot of control right now.
Okay, so you're saying this is on the thread part. This is the expected behavior, and they don't affect the CPU resources, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can get confirmation from the maintainers of Golang, but that's the answer I expect you'll get back. And I think from a kubelet perspective, it's a GC language is gonna hold on to memory, right? Because it'll expect to use that memory again in the future. So you can tune how aggressively it frees back memory to the operating system. But I don't think it's a bug unless kubelet has a memory leak and it doesn't gets killed or something, right? You're not seeing it growing memory unbounded and then crashing, right?
Yes, there is no crashing.
Right.
So, if there is memory leak, then only there is a problem. And the current scenario of holding on to idle threads, it doesn't poses a problem. Am I correct here?
Yeah, I just need to provide it with enough resources, I guess. Yeah. Just make sure your node is beefy enough so you can give the right amount of memory and CPU for your system services.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Mrinal. Thanks, Sergey.
Yeah, it's also Morale, looking at his test case, he's running into the exec probe timeout issues, right? And then repeating, he's probably got a lot of probe problems.
Yeah, so I think that's an issue. Like if you have a lot of probes going on, that's typically very heavy on the system, especially if those probes are also Go binaries, right? Because they are big, they need to get paged in. It's very expensive to run exec probes, so avoid frequent exec probes if possible.
Yeah, those were only for the testing. Like those were meant to pressurize the resources. So
It
yes.
worked.
Yes. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so next from Lubomir.
Hi, this is a bit of a reminder about a certain PR that I opened at the beginning of February. I had a bit of a back and forth with it. So the problem is the following. In the kubelet, there are a couple of default options. One of them is the KOS, I think. Let me remind myself what it is. Okay, so one is the C group per QoS option. The other one is enforce node allocatable. So by default, these options work on Linux with certain values. But if you run the same kubelet with the default parameters of Windows, it exits with an error. And if you talk to SIG Windows, they will tell you that they are configuring these parameters explicitly so that so that the kubelet basically works. So my proposal with this PR is, we had a bit of a back and forth. I think so. Mike was on this. Mronau is also on this. But Mronau, you promised me to review actually on Slack. And also SIG Windows also participating. So basically the story is I think we should, instead of erroring with and exiting the kubelet with an error, we should show warnings. And that's pretty much the story of this PR. It's a pretty small diff. So I will appreciate if we look at this and try to resolve it.
Yeah, so I think what I don't like why are these flags set on a Windows node? And is it a question of we have defaults that are setting up options that are not valid on Windows? So if that's the case, why don't we fix up the defaults on Windows so these don't show up?
You open a conversation that was pretty much discussed, I don't know, 3 years ago with Clayton Coleman and Jordan Legit. And basically, the story is we don't want to apply different defaults per operating system. That was the TLDR. If that's what you want now, in a future new story of the kubelet, I can do that. But basically, from the past, this was the response. We shouldn't have defaults. And also, mind you, if you go to the Kubernetes.io website and you do look at the kubelet flags, like which version are you going to look at? Which operating system? Currently, we have one default, and I kind of agree that we should have one default. And basically, we should accommodate a particular operating system to just not crash with the defaults that we have.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess like if you have a link to that discussion that happened earlier, it would be useful for me to get all that context.
I think it's already on the PR. I think if not, I can add it. But
yeah, if you can add a link, I was not able to locate it, so it was hard for me to get that.
Okay, it's already on the PR. It's one of the cross references I added in the PR. It's a PR from a long time ago called Special Case Kubelet Config Defaults on Windows, and there was a discussion. It was closed after that.
Can you drop a link? Can you drop a link to that either here or in meeting notes?
Sure. But basically, and I get a LGTM from Mike and also from SIG Windows, is that I think warnings is the preferred way to proceed.
Right. Thanks. I'm not sure, Sergey and Don, if you all have any thoughts on that topic.
I hope to look at that link. Manu, you just suggested there. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Because it sounds like the reasonable, but underneath actually is not the right. So it's like we apply to same rule, same config, but actually it's treated differently. That's kind of what we are doing today.
Yeah, it seems that what we are doing today is the validation is different. So Windows just looks at the Windows side of the kubelet, looks at these parameters that are currently the default actually, and it just says, hey, I'm going to exit because you didn't explicitly configure them on Windows. And I think that's a bit of a problem. Instead, we can say, hey, these options are actually not supported on Windows, and we can get a warning if the user is configuring them explicitly. And that's basically what the PR is doing right now.
Yeah, but then the question is, why just pick couple of options? Like, wouldn't you want to pick every single non-Windows option and put it in that warning list?
I think
Or
that's
or we just do a sanitization. You have set some options and then just do a single message with all the options that are not valid on Windows.
well, that's all the options to man the setting that are not supported. Or at least that's all the
Okay,
options.
so only two of them. Okay.
Yeah. Or we are missing validation for additional options. If you want me to add more, if something is missing, to my understanding, these are the only options that actually don't work on Windows at all. And that's why we validate for them here.
Okay, I would be very pleasantly surprised if it's just two, but yeah, we can check.
I think it's talking about arguments that you pass to kubelet, but there are also like whole config file.
Yeah. So the way it works in the kubelet and also other components is that if you have a flag, it propagates on top of the defaults in the config, so you can override with the flag. But also there's the API, the kubelet, the component config API has a default by itself. So there's a flag default and a component API default, and both of these defaults conflict with the Windows support. So these defaults are not supported at all on Windows, which is a problem.
All right. Thanks, Lubomir. So if you can just drop a link to that older discussion, it'll help us gather that context.
Yeah, it's already.
Yeah.
I already added it in the
notes. Okay.
It's in notes, and also it's in the PR itself. Just have a look when you can, please.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, with that we reached the end of agenda. Is there anything else from anybody? Any last minute topic? Going once, going twice. Okay, next week, if there will be no topics, it will be cancelled because of 4th of July week. And if you have a topic, please add it very early. Otherwise, like people from Europe will need to stay late and meeting can be canceled last minute. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also, one more thing, we got a lot of KEPs merged, so please work on the implementation. Yeah, that'll win for nothing. Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.